Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I sound like the DIY prepper, but it's a good thing. I have a ton of gear laid out. As you saw in the last video, I had unpacked the bag for the winter time. I'm going to be pulling some gear out because it's the winter gear coming out. And today we are going to repack the bag. So give me a minute to reposition the camera so you can actually get a better look at what's here. And we will get this gear back in this bag. Back with you in a second. All right, welcome back. You can't see me, which is probably a good thing, but you can see we have a ton of gear set out on this table. We went through this gear before, so most of it, in fact, almost all of it, you know exactly what it is. But today we are going to pack this gear back in this bag. We are going to start with the rear pouch, or the rear section, which is the largest section. I will not be repacking the shovel, the Army shovel. I do feel that the other areas in the truck would be better suited for storage of this. Besides, it's heavy and bulky, and if I do have to take this bag in an emergency situation and leave my truck, obviously the lighter the bag is, the better. So that we're going to leave out. I generally tend to put the bulkiest items in the bottom or the heaviest items in the bottom just for weight distribution. The pullover hoodie that you saw, the Army blanket pullover, that will not be returning because that's winter gear. So we're just going to set that aside. I think we're going to start with the tarp. This is the Pathfinder School. I think in the previous video I misspoke and said this was a poncho or could be used as a poncho. That I am incorrect. It's more of a blanket. I mean, it says blanket right on it. It does not have a hole in it for your head with a hood like a standard poncho, like this one does. This is just basically a tarp. So this is going to ride up against my back in the pack, and then we will pack gear in front of it and bring everything up. So that's going to be the first thing. The whoopee, this is a poncho and a poncho liner wrapped into one. I could compress it down some more, but it's not necessary. I can fit it down in the bottom of the bag. It's not obviously the heaviest item on the table here, but it is one of the bulkiest because it's one of the largest. So it's going to ride at the very bottom of the bag. So let's get that in there. That fits in there nicely. The hammock will go in next on top of it. And now I believe I will start to pack the cook set. The cook set, as you recall, is the pot with the handle. And then I have some plasticware that sits along inside there. It also has a plate or lid, works as both, that goes on top, and then it clamps closed so everything is nice and secure. But before we do that, we have to put our stove in there. Then we can get our plasticware in here. It fits just right. I guess I could have cut them a little bit smaller, but I did not. So we're going to roll with what we have. Now it's not fitting at all. Maybe I had this stuff in. No, I definitely had that in first. We'll try the knife, which I'm pretty sure I don't even need a plastic knife, but it's in here nonetheless. There it is. That was it right there. The plastic knife, the spoon, and the fork. All these items pack in here nicely. It's tight, but they do fit. Why is this knife not fitting? Are you kidding me? This all came out of here. I swear it did. There it is. I knew it fit. And locks closed. So cook set. And then I have my fuel canister, which will be returning for the summer season. Then I use my nesting cup. For that, I just throw the extra socks that I have in there. Takes up a little less space. Next will be the K-bar. That kind of runs along the side. If I should need to get to it quickly, which I rarely do, all I have to do is unzip the side and I can grab it and pull it right out of there. So then we have next, I believe we're going to pack our food, which goes in this stuff sack here, which is nothing more than just a compression sack. So let's get our rice meals and our tuna. I did peek at the expiration dates on here if you want to know. It's good till 2026, so it still has some time. These I just put in here in the winter time. The Knorr meals, if they have an expiration date on them, they may not. Oh yeah, here we go. Something used by October. Just says October 18th. Doesn't have a year. That's unusual. But I did pack all this in here in the fall. That's usually when I pull all this stuff out for good, once a year. We have our Mountain House meal. It's going to go in there. Now, if you remember, along with my coffees, which I will be repacking the coffee packets with my coffee packets, because I have to have my coffee. I will not be repacking the small creamers. They've been in there since the fall of last year, fall of 2024. So to take no chances on spoilage, I picked up these. I keep these around. These are just small little coffee mate packs. I get these at one of the convenience stores. I don't remember which one. I usually grab a handful, you know, every now and again. So I keep these around. Those are what's going to go in there now. Plus my soup mix, my peanut butters. I'm going to put the drink mixes into another area, as I may want to grab these long before I want to grab any food. So we'll put the condiments, the sweetener and the condiments in here, and we will call that packed. Put this in here like this, so I don't have a cord hanging all over God's creation. And then the top comes around like this. This is an REI co-op stuff sack. Probably got it. I do have an REI membership where I gain the REI points. I don't buy a lot of gear at REI. They tend to get a bit pricey sometimes, I feel. But I do have that membership just in case, because there is you know, some gear that I do find very useful. And again, I catch it on clearance or old sale. So let's get our food bag in there. I would in the future like to upgrade the food bag to dry bag. I haven't done that yet. I don't know if I have any extra dry bags in my hiking gear or not. I can look the next time I go through that stuff. But I do think it's a good idea to put some dry bags, you know, in here as far as storing the gear, as you know, as opposed to the stuff sacks. merely for protecting what's in there. It's pretty good. I fit in there with lots of extra space. I think we'll put our gloves just right on top of all of that. We still have plenty of room in the bag for more gear. Now, for this front large section, not quite as large as the rear section, but it is the entire length, goes all the way to the bottom of the bag. Here is where I like to put my navigation system or navigation items. This is the maps. We talked about this before. I got some pens and I'm writing the rain pad. I do like that down in there because, again, it sits flat, and nothing sucks more than a map that's all crinkled up. I think most of these are laminated, but I believe this big one here is not. So I try to keep that as dry. It's in just a regular Ziploc. I have seen those navigation folders, more so. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but they hold all your navigation stuff, your compass and your pens, and everything's nice and tidy in this nice folding little thing, or whatever you want to call it. I've seen them on Amazon. They're not hateful to buy. I just haven't gotten around to purchasing anything like that yet. I make do with what I have. I have no shortage of Ziplocs, obviously. They're cheap. You buy them at the grocery store. So we're going to roll with the Ziploc bag. My poncho can sit in this front pocket. At the bottom of this pocket, because this has a little bit of weight, not much, but a little bit, is going to be my tent stakes and my cordage for my sleep setup and any shelter I may have to build. So we will put all of that in the very bottom with the poncho on top. Okay, here's my my flask. I think what's in here is 100 proof Southern Comfort. Yep. Yeah, it's 100 proof Southern Comfort. Tasty. There's a pouch or a little pocket sleeve in this bag. See if I can show it to you. It's sewn in, just a small pocket. Has some mesh dividers here in the front, but it's a pocket that just kind of holds that kind of nicely. When I saw that packet, I thought, I know what'll fit in there perfectly. Now, of course, one of these emergency blankets would fit in there perfectly, but what's more exciting? A flask of Southern Comfort or a couple of, emergency blankets? Of course, it depends on how cold it is outside. All right. So now we have, two things actually that I did not go over in the unpack video are some wet wipes. Not sure if there's an expiration date on here again. The good things about wet wipes is these are Equate. It's probably from Walmart. Could have been Walmart online. I don't remember where I got them. It's just a small pack of wipes. There's 48 wipes in here. That's more than enough to do whatever you would need to do. If by chance they would dry out, just a little water will, bring them back to life. It does say alcohol free, so they're probably not even opened yet. No, they're not. Actually, they are. Yeah, they're still wet, so it seals pretty good. So I got some wet wipes here and some toilet paper just in a Ziploc bag. I'm not a big fan of leaves, so I would try to avoid. Granted, you have to use whatever you have around you. So if leaves are all you have, then leaves are all you have. Okay, my bandana, which a lot of guys can carry a shemagh. I don't have a shemagh in this bag. I just use a bandana. Like I said, I had bought, I think, 12 of these. Yeah, I believe it was a 12 pack. These are 100% cotton bandanas, so they do pretty well. They're pretty durable. I prefer the cotton bandanas over the nylon or the rayon, like made in China type bandanas. And then with my grommet on it, that can just lay in the top. And I believe that is just about all for this pocket here, which, taking the winter stuff out, creates a considerable amount of space, in the bag. So it's definitely lighter in the summertime. My top pouch, which is where my headlight goes, and my compass, and my little emergency whistle and button compass can all go in there. Those are items that I might need to get to fairly quickly, or at least don't want to dig through the whole bag to try to get my hands on them. So I try to keep those, somewhat. In fact, I'm going to put it down the bottom. Just my headlamp in here, and we're going to call that pocket done. Now this second front pocket is much bigger, so here's where I like to keep my water filtration system. I'm also going to put my drink packs in here. There is, if you see down in here, there is a couple of pockets here, same type as in the other thing. These I can slide just right down in here, so I know exactly where they are and they're easy to get to. My water filtration, my bug spray, my emergency blankets, my Silcock key, my knife / multi-tool. I have a couple of Leatherman multi-tools. I think I even have a Gerber multi-tool somewhere around. I got tons more stuff in my other storage area, all in bins, stacked on shelves, and I can go through and kind of put a bag together or pull out the gear that I like. I don't remember why I specifically chose this knife. In fact, I'm going to put it in the top section. Maybe because at the time it had that little flashlight that doesn't work. And if you take it apart, it takes like a really tiny little battery that goes down in there. It's about the size of a pencil eraser. So I haven't really looked for the replacement battery. I have the battery that was in it upstairs on my desk. So if I ever get around to looking it up and trying to find, where I can get that battery, I may. But again, that light didn't provide a lot of light. Maybe just for like reading the map or something. My headlight does that, or my EDC flashlight will do that job. So we're going to put that in the top. Dust mask, toothbrush, which again does not fit in the other pouch. We can throw in this bag here, or in this pouch here in the front. So really the only thing we didn't pack back in was the shovel, the pullover, the creamers, the water bottles do ride in here nicely. The way it fits in the truck, I don't leave the water bottles in it because space is an issue. So I generally take the water bottles out, sit them next to the storage box that's in there, and then the bag tucks in next to that. But for the sake of the video, I will load the water bottles up because I would like to grab my scale and do a measurement on this just to see exactly what it is. My first pouch will be my fire pouch, as we spoke before. This is fire starting materials that I can get to fairly quickly. My ferro rod. Now this nice paracord lanyard, it came with this specifically, but if you watch some of my other videos, I probably mentioned a Facebook page. A good friend of mine, Bruce, he has a small business called 302 Outdoors and Paracord, and he makes this stuff. He ties all these fancy knots, and in fact, he did reach out a few days ago and told me that he has a set of paste beads that he made for me out of paracord, which will be getting attached, maybe not to this bag, but more than likely my day hiking bag. It'll go on fairly regularly, if not permanently, and then I'll just move it from there to my longer distance hiking bag. My disposable knife and fork I'm going to throw in here just because it fits, and that's where that can go. I'll attach these later, and these attach to the front if you remember. And then this is my medical slash hygiene. You know, I got some sunscreen, some SPF 100, and some deodorant, and a small bottle of soap and shampoo, plus my little kit that I've had for quite some time, plus my small first aid kit that can go in here just like that. I don't remember how I had all this in here. Maybe I had this in here like that. Yeah, that's how it is. And then this stuff slid down in the front. Yeah, this is a very tight fit. I could probably go through the the aisle at the grocery store that has all the travel size stuff, and I could probably get some travel size of some of this stuff that would fit a little bit nicer in here. But I got it all in here. It's pretty tight. I will attach those later off camera before we load the bag back in the truck. The next video I'm going to do is going to be when I put the bag back in the truck, because there are some items in the truck that kind of live in the truck for the winter time that I'll be pulling out of the truck, for summertime, and then some items that go back in the truck for summertime, because not everything gets packed in the bag. As you see, I got a lot of room on these straps to pull this tighter. This bag holds a lot. I don't remember where I got this. It was online somewhere. I think that it's 40 liter. I want to say maybe 35. It's about 35 or 40 liter is the size of this bag. It's fairly good size. It holds everything. All right. Give me 1 second to go grab my scale, and we will measure this bag and see what the weight is. I can probably just sit these on top. Yeah, they'll balance. I'll just sit these on top, and they're part of the weight. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a scale, and I'll be right back with you. All right, I'm back with you. Thanks for hanging out and holding on. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. I tend to forget to say that. It definitely helps out. I'm a new channel, as you can see. We're just getting started, and I'm hoping that I can continue to share my knowledge and experience with you. This is just a basic travel scale, like for your luggage. Going to the airport, it even has a picture of an airplane on it and says travel scale. It has a tape measure, I guess, for measuring your bag. I won't need that for any reason, but the reason I bought this, which I believe I got this on Amazon. I've had it a few years. I don't remember, but it was more than likely Amazon. It's usually my go-to when I'm looking for something. I probably didn't pay, but maybe $10 for it. I don't remember, but it hangs from a hook I have in my backpacking room where all my backpacking gear is. I keep it hung from the ceiling so I can weigh my pack before I go out. I generally don't weigh the day hiking pack. It usually stays pretty light, but my longer trips, when I'm packing the big bag, the 55 liter or the 65 liter bag that I have, I tend to weigh it just so I have an idea of my pack weight, which is always a good thing. I am certainly not a ultralight backpacker. I think the lightest pack I ever put together was about 28 pounds. and that was for 5 days. So I certainly do not fall in that category of ultralight backpacker. So let's see what we have here. We are at 23 pounds. So we took 9 pounds out of that just from these couple items, because I remember weighing this before and it weighed in at 32 pounds. And now we are at 23 pounds, 23 and a half pounds. So that military shovel and the pullover, and the creamers obviously didn't weigh very much, but you know, we did take a considerable amount of weight off of it just from removing some of the winter time items. Now obviously when late October, November rolls around, when I go through this process again to pull out some of the summertime stuff, I do have a long sleeve like t-shirt. I think it's in my day hiking pack. That I do normally put in here, but I think last year in the spring I forgot to take a long sleeve shirt on a day hike, and it ended up raining and the temperature dropped. I was a little bit chilly. I didn't have a jacket. So I dug into this pack and got the pullover, or the t-shirt. It was just a long sleeve t-shirt. I got in here and pulled it out, and then I thought, hey, I should probably keep this in my day hiking pack and put something else in my emergency bag. But obviously I never put anything else in my emergency bag until wintertime when I put the pullover in. So I may, take the time to put something in the bag as far as long sleeve for summertime, but I do keep other clothing and gear in the truck for work reasons. This shirt generally stays in the truck year round. It's pretty beat up. It's just an old Carhartt shirt that I've had. It does have a bit of a liner in it. So it usually stays in the truck year round for those days where it's not quite chilly enough for a jacket, but not quite warm enough for short sleeves. That's why I kind of leave stuff in the truck. And when we go through the truck, or when I go through the truck and take you with me, you'll see what's in there and how I kind of have it set up to where at least I always have something available to me if necessary. So that does it for the bag. I'm not going to put it in the truck on camera. I'm going to wait until I'm ready to make the truck video, because there's some wintertime gear that has to come out of the truck. So when I have the time to do that and make the video, is when I will put the bag back in the truck. I'm going to try to get to that this weekend coming up. Today is Wednesday, so maybe Saturday I'll have time to get the gear out of the truck that's winter gear and put my bag back in. So hopefully we'll have to pray that nothing detrimental happens and that I don't get into a position where I need my emergency bag between now and Saturday. My work schedule has got me fairly close to home in an area that I'm very familiar with. So it would not be detrimental to me if I did not have the bag, merely because, as I've stated, I have other gear in the truck, as well as my EDC. So I think I'll be okay for 2 days not having the bag. Well, actually 3 days, because I didn't have the bag today either. But I'll be okay with it. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with me. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I will take time to read those and answer those. And please, again, subscribe and like and ring the notification bell and all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.